allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I call the borough meeting, Borough Delaware Water Gap to order. We will start our meeting with public comments for items that are on the agenda. Do we have any public comments for agenda items? Yeah, I'm looking at you.
I'll have plenty at the end.
God bless America. Okay, now we will have a motion for those who have reviewed the treasurer's report. A motion to approve the treasurer's report and pay the bills.
I can make that motion. I'll second it.
I had one question.
Sure.
What is the bill for Summa and Company LLP for $6,500 for?
That is our auditors.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
for the DWG audit, which is completed.
Alright.
Any other questions? There's been a motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. A motion to approve the regular meeting minutes for March 4th, 2024.
I'll make the motion to approve those minutes.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Motion passed. Motion to approve the special meeting minutes from March 14th, 2024.
I have a correction on that.
Okay.
On the back, it says Jim Smith. It is John Smith.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Jim Smith, God rest his soul, is no longer with us, so.
Okay.
Sorry
Motion
about
to
that.
approve
That's
the
okay.
special meeting minutes with correction.
I'll make the motion.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Now we'll have the superintendent's report.
So, all the Christmas lights and everything has been, taken down. The police, vehicles, I worked with the, police chief, and I just checked the fluids and everything like that. The Crown Vic does have a slow leak in one of the tires. Police chief is aware, and we're keeping an eye on it. Branches, debris, cleaned up. Church Lane sign has been fixed, it got knocked down. And the stop sign was fixed, but that has since been knocked down again. Town hall driveways and sidewalks have all been pressure washed. Gonna work on the building. We have a longer stretch of nicer weather. And I'm gonna work on making sure the storm drains and stuff are clear of debris, because we're gonna be hydrant flushing next week. So with the extra runoff, we just wanna make sure that water has somewhere to go. F-350, no problems with that. 550, we straightened out the tailgate and everything on that, so that's all operating. And the hydraulic system for the dump body and the spinners, fluid was drained, new filters installed for that. Backhoe is all fine, and the lawnmower is all good with new belts, blades, greased, and all the fluids are good to go on that, so that's ready for when we need that too.
Thank you so much. And with that hydro flushing, we send notices out to the water be.
It's advertised as of today. It's posted on the building, the website, and I'll do the Savvy Citizen later this week.
Thank you so much. Thank you both. Thank you for the superintendent's report. Now, we've had the mayor's report. The mayor is working, so I will read his report for you. Pick Up the Poconos will be on April 20th, and they're looking for volunteers. The sign-up sheet is at the Borough Hall.
Right
Our
here, right
borough
here.
manager has provided it.
Sign up.
If you intend to participate, you meet at the hall at 9:30, that's April 20th. and it runs until 12:30, ending at the Village Farmer for ice cream on the mayor. He says on me, and that means him, not me. I didn't read it like that. He attended the annual mayor's reception for the Greater Lehigh Chamber of Commerce to speak about our beautiful town, about 400 people in attendance. And he also spoke with other mayors about the need for more police officers. Hopefully it will generate some new applications. The mayor also attended the monthly 611 road closure meeting hosted by Congressman Matt Cartwright. PennDOT expects to have their modified application into the NPS, National Park Service, by next week. And the National Park Service expects to approve so that work may begin. There is a date of possibility mid to early July for a single lane opening, but he's always cautious in giving out dates. Allison was kind enough to take meeting notes, and she gave out a copy upon request. Lastly, there have been reports of another transient person in town. The chief and I, the mayor, have spoken about issue and will be talking to the resident who has been seen or had interacted with person. We do not see any safety concerns with that at the moment, and will update if any arise. Those that have lived here long enough know that we get transients from time to time, and usually they move on. Hopefully this will be the case again. Reach out with any questions. Larry Freshcorn, Mayor. And it's my understanding that the mayor and the police chief identified and spoke with the transient. Prior to that, he was offered information about services from our borough manager, and subsequently also offered information on, assistance that he could receive in Stroudsburg or other places from the mayor and the police chief. So they have addressed the matter that anyone was concerned about. That's the mayor's report. Police chief is not here, but we have a police report. Fire department report. Chief Howard Ike.
I'm going to step out front for this one. Good evening, everybody. The Dover already got fire department responding to 5 calls for service this month, last month. 1 commercial auto alarm, 1 mutual aid for a working residential structure fire in Stroud Township, 1 commercial vehicle fire, and 2 medical calls. That is the calls that we responded to. Now I feel that I need to address an email that was sent, and so I will do so with council. The email received today, I feel, is a personal attack on me, my character, and my intelligence. And it has been going on for way too long. I explained this at Listening Grant before, how long it's been, what we've been doing, but I feel I need to do it again. First, there's always been 3 phases. 3 phases of construction. The first, go back to 2018 with Chief Brad Miller, ex-Chief Brad Miller. He asked from Representative Brown for $400,000 for a new firehouse. To include tearing down existing building, getting land from Bertellis, turning the building towards side grassy lot of Bertellis, stormwater, building a new 2-story firehouse with 6 bays, office, radio room, gear room, and the gym, which would be awesome. You will not get that for $400,000. Alright. I was there with Brad, David Strunk, and the gentleman from Schoonover Engineering, or I'm not sure what they do, at the firehouse to discuss the architecture and go over the firehouse for a new firehouse. Dave Strunk asked me to come because I was working for him at his engineering firm, Strunk Albert Engineering, which I worked for 4.5 years. We received a proposal from them for $75,000 at the time. That did not include construction, bidding, and all that. That was just the drawings. And I do have that paperwork at the firehouse. It's still in the envelope that it was put in. That's when we decided as a fire company, not as fire chief, as a fire department, to renovate. Fast forward to 2020, we asked Jack about the LSA grant. We heard that the police had gotten a vehicle through it. And we were told we had to go ahead to apply for it. I sat down with Representative Rosemary Brown at the time and was asked why we changed to renovate. I explained to her that $400,000 was not enough realistically for a brand new firehouse. For example, West End's firehouse is over $6 million. Now that includes other stuff, but that's just one case. When I worked for Strunk Albert, I won't name the firehouse, but their fire department in New Jersey, about the same size as our building, was 1.5 million plus. And they downsized stuff because they didn't have the budget for it. Representative Brown said we needed an estimate first, so she knew where we were going. That's why you have the SR estimate. It is a generic estimate. It was used from Joe Corsimo, which is mentioned, and yet there is some equation that they use as their construction company per square foot to come up with 690,000. There is a typo that was missed, and it is what it is at this point. I met with Representative Brown. We looked over needs and estimates. She would not endorse us for 630,000 at one time. Therefore, we had suggested we break it down. She suggested we break it down to 3 equal phases. Therefore, 230, 230, 230. Is it a coincidence? No, it's not. It was on purpose. Suggested from Representative Brown what she thought we could get each time, but she would not guarantee it. We paid a grant writer, which we still use, and he's gotten us other grants, $2,500 each time for the grant. Typos he should have called. Should I have read it? Probably. Should John Smith have read it? I'm sure. 2021, we wanted to apply for the grant again, and we needed an updated quote, just a new date, the current date, not an old date from the year before. Joe Corsimo, I called him again, he's out of business. He's been in business so long, he's no longer having his own. He works for Reno Fuels, as of last year, I believe. So we had to come up with something else and discussed it with the fire company. I did put contracting on it, which you have seen in your packets, and a new date, and we submitted it that way. I do have my own company, and it is EIN, which I have 2, so I felt comfortable doing it because I was not doing the work. It's an estimate to get the grant so we could get drawings to do the work, which we did not know we needed drawings. I think you asked me and I told you I think we needed them, but I was wrong. Let's see. After that submission, I was wondering about permits, so I called Mike Manter, the borough zoning officer. Therefore, he told me we needed drawings, even though we are renovating, and I specified renovating again. But he was adamant we needed drawings. So, we reached out to a few, and Dansbury Designs was suggested to us. Let's see. Yep. I'm not sure who suggested it, it's been a while. I cannot remember. I believe it was a colleague from Strunk Albert that I worked for. I contacted Dansbury Designs, we met at the firehouse, we walked through everything. He explained he has a architect engineering firm that would stamp the drawings. And that is why I gave Deborah 2 proposals, one for Dansbury and one for the other company that we received. Jim Ferrari went over those contracts in detail with them. And that is when we submitted a bill to Allison for a deposit so we could start the process. That's when we found out that the borough is in charge of the grant. That's when Rosemary Brown came down, sat us all down, and explained everything. You guys are in charge of the grant. We are not. It is for the firehouse, and hopefully we have some say in it. Ultimately, it is your responsibility. Good?
Our responsibility to manage the grant is your
Yes.
financial responsibility.
Correct. And I've talked about this before, how we can, needs and wants, there's a difference, and they can be managed through the drawings. And that's what an engineer is for. That's their job. That's why we need the drawings, for details, specific products, specific CFMs, which would be airflow, water flow, all that. Let's see. No contractor has been selected. One was mentioned, and GAC was mentioned, and there are no contractor in the area. Angelo came out and looked over the building, and he said that once we get the drawings, they would definitely put a bid on it. I also reached out to Burke. Burke was not interested because they are too busy and would not be able to handle the project. They figured it was too big for their scope. But that might have changed over the year. So, fast forwarding to now, I do have my own business, which is very slow. I went to work for Farino. I called Joe. He said they are hiring. They're local. I bring the van home. I go there and back. It's close. So I do work for Farino. I'm not hiding anything. I don't hide nothing. I've been upfront the whole way. Smitty has been involved. I don't know if he is here. No. John Smith, he's also working still. But he has been involved the whole way. Ferrari has been involved with the contract stuff, of course. Not so much with what we want to do. But he's the money man, and he expressed that before about going over budget and what we can and cannot afford. As far as work done, we did on our own. We didn't put out any money. We got equipment donated. We went and got the equipment. New York, Virginia, Lori. We did that on our own. I do not know why this is going on like this. I've explained it. Maybe it's taken out of context, people don't know. I've been in construction for 30 years, maybe longer, I'm not sure. I've been a plumber. New construction, service work. I've done it all, and I have worked for Strunk Albert for 4.5 years, plumbing designing. I took plumbing designer 1, I'm certified plumbing designer 1. So I know a little bit about engineering too and what it takes.
I appreciate this, Chief, that you've addressed that. But at this point, as you understand, the LSA grants, as we all understand now, are assigned to the borough for management.
Oh, yes.
And so we also have to go by the rules and the steps and the paperwork and the reporting and the order of business as designated by the LSA grant, with accordance to what was applied for, what they approved, and their manner and what they expect out of the management, whether it's the bidding process, whether it's the construction process, whether it's the reporting. It is a reimbursable grant, so you have to have the money to pay for the grant in advance. So these are all the things that we have to administer. It's not our rules, it's not us making it up. We are obligated to follow the rules that has been set upon that grant and those funds that have been allocated to do the renovations for the firehouse. So I appreciate you providing that background. If you could give us the, emergency management coordinator report
Yeah,
now, I
just
appreciate
real
it.
quick, there's never been any question on any of that. We understand that, that you are, you know, everything has to be by the book. And it would have been through us as well, because the paper trail has to be done.
Yes.
Okay, so the fire department understands that 100%, so I'm not sure of why this keeps going on like this. But we thank you for your support, 100%. Emergency management, I have no report at this time.
Okay, thank you so much. Engineers report.
Just update on grants. Unfortunately, the borough was not awarded the DCV multimodal transportation grant for Mountain Road, but we are going to look into if there were any deficiencies in that application and move forward hopefully at some point. The other grant was the municipal building generator. They did not discuss that grant, the LSA grant, at the last meeting, and the next meeting is May 21st, so I'll keep an eye out for that.
Thank you so much. Zoning officer, not present. I'm going to provide a report. Solicitors report.
A lot of the things I would report are under old business. I do have drafts of the fireworks ordinance and the stormwater management ordinance, which I can forward to you, so maybe you can discuss them at your work session this month. The Cherry Valley Road Waterline Project, there were letters sent to those homeowners, by constable. The constable is delivering them. They're in the constable's possession. That's it. Oh, and I have reached out to the solicitors for the borough of East Stroudsburg and Stroudsburg regarding the, building code of appeals.
Thank you. So you're just waiting to hear back?
Yep.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question? Is there a due date that you
The
have?
15th,
15th of April.
in 2 weeks.
The 15th for
The Cherry Valley, the letter line.
the letter, okay, so they got a deadline, fantastic. Electronic speed limit signs, the mayor has been working diligently on this. I'm signing the check to pay for,
The quote, there's just paperwork for the quote.
For the quote.
We'll look it over together. And
Okay.
then, you know, make sure everything looks good.
all right, and, you can talk to Missy with regards to the numbers
Yes, we're
Yeah.
gonna talk about.
and what's what. So that's moving along, it's the mayor's project to get these electronic speed limit signs posted on our perimeters, and hopefully that will help with, speeding.
Hey Lisa, could one of them be, I know they're stationary for the most part, but since traffic isn't going down that way, can one of them be moved around town until,
I don't know,
That's ready?
that's a permitting
That
situation,
was a
and they,
PennDOT issue.
Yeah.
and they've spent so much time trying to get permits. just to
I
get this-
understand,
get them up.
it just would
Yeah.
be useless up here right now,
Well,
since the road is shut down.
we have to be optimistic. The road is open.
Okay.
July.
It's coming,
July.
so is the
It's
train,
coming.
so is the
road
train,
coming.
so is the train.
We'll be optimistic, but in the meantime, the mayor has worked really, really hard to get the
I know, I
electronic
understand.
signs up. And
Yeah.
it's taking him a lot, and with the permitting, it's been a bear. And so I wanted to give kudos to him
Yeah,
and Missy for continuing along with that, to get that done. So we try to make progress where we can. The beautification grant has been submitted, we just wait on that? No news on that yet?
I should hear this week, I'm hoping.
Okay. Stormwater management, there's a draft. that we shall receive Cherry Valley Water Line Project. Letters have gone out with the deadline. The Borough Hall generator was not discussed in the last, grant meeting. Firehouse renovation LSA grant. Has the fire company been able to provide us with a letter indicating their ability to finance the engineering cost and put that money in escrow? Have we received that? No? We have not received anything.
No, you have not. I'm working on it with Jim.
Okay, tabled. Building code, Board of Appeals, waiting to hear back. Removal of the water tower on Dogwood Drive, is there any news on that?
No, there hasn't been for about 25 years.
Like the train.
My neighbors asked me to bring that up.
So is there something we're supposed to be doing to remove that?
Well,
Kind of a landmark at this point, huh?
not necessarily a good one.
Not a good one.
Although I'll have trouble giving directions to my house without it.
This is true.
I'd like to I'll look into seeing an economical way of getting rid of it with Borough Council's approval.
Okay, please do, and let us know
I'll let you know
what our options are.
All right.
Thank you so much. Discuss the new used Ford F-550.
Wait, you skipped over oversized truck issue.
Where?
It's the fourth one.
Removal of tower.
I just kept that on there because we've been talking about it, Lisa, it doesn't.
Okay.
We don't really
So,
have anything to report.
oversized trucking, I will let you know that I told you I was harassing everyone. I was writing the congressman, the senator, the representatives, everyone. And we got a response back, from Mr. Kufro from PennDOT, who laid out, and I think I spoke in the last meeting, legislation that would be required, which, Representative Probst responded to, and the responsibilities of the state police to enforce it, and what would be needed. Luckily, it's rolling downhill, and Allison spoke with Mr. Fisher from the, Greg Fisher from PA State Police. He is a commercial vehicle safety, he's on that, within that organization, within that group. Motor Carrier Program Administrator. And we had a lengthy conversation with him where now Allison is an expert on tractor trailer trucking lingo because it was going so fast. But we will have a meet with the mayor and the police chief because it's come to our attention that while we don't have the capabilities to stop trucks due to their weight, we can stop them for violating the posted signage. He also suggested that we work with PennDOT on getting additional advanced signage, which is something that tells them before they get around the corner, around the bend, stop. Even if it's electronically on the expressway, whether there's more signage at the key points that they can still turn around. But it is within our legal ability to give them a ticket for violating the signage. So if we make the signage more prominent, we can do that. While we are not trying to become a speed trap and just intentionally write tickets, writing those tickets hopefully will get the word out to the other truckers that, okay, that's not working anymore. We shouldn't go that way. So I'll continue to bug people, and we'll meet with the mayor and the police chief. I will, or Allison will, and talk to them about, what we can do with limited, officers. But we're continuing to work on it, so we'll continue to try and work to get more signage and hopefully some legislation that will, fight them avoiding the way station. So that was positive, that we met with them. Thanks for calling that to my attention. Okay, discuss the used new F-450. Ian, I think you wanted to discuss that.
Well, there were many emails coming back and forth about a used Ford 550. It looked like it was in pretty good shape from everything I heard, but I don't think that had been budgeted for this year's budget.
No.
No.
Yeah, so I think it's kind of like the cart leading the horse.
have the discussion in December of last year and then pick it up in January, February of this year, it just is not enough. And if people wanna do that, of course, we can put it on the agenda at some point, but we're now making up the first.
What is the status of the current truck?
The current truck, and maybe help me here, I think as we've spent 27,000 on it.
Well, according to our chart, we spent at a minimum, we spent from November to March, $17,398 on the truck. At the time that the auction came to our attention, the bidding number was low. So it caused some attention that maybe it was a possibility. But of course, it went the way that auctions go at the very 11th or 12th hour. Everybody bid it up real high. And again, it's not in our budget to do that. And we've spent what could possibly be 20,000 or so.
Well, it's more than that because there is a new blade for plowing snow, you know.
Right.
It's
That's
17,000 plus.
That's included.
10, right?
It's
That's-
included in here.
But nevertheless, between November and March, during the budgeting period and after the budgeting period, we spent in excess of $17,000 on the truck. So what I would like to do, because it is a problem, and what we have to realize is that everything that happens and comes through here, we're dealing with problems and emergencies. Everything's an emergency because it's a problem. But we have to work really hard because of fiduciary responsibility to find alternative measures to deal with these things when we can. So the fact that we spent over 17,000, I would like to task you, Councilman, with having a committee of yourself and maybe someone else you can enlist to look into a grant that might help supplement the purchase of the truck before it falls down. I actually was looking at there's a few grants that will pay for equipment. Community Facilities Direct Loan and Grant Program, the USDA has a grant program. And I've learned in the last 4 years that we are considered rural. So a lot of the grants that a lot of the people around us go for, everybody's trying for the same grant, everybody's trying for the LSA grant. But there are rural grants that we can apply for because of the size of our community. So I made a note to myself that the USDA Community Facilities Direct Loan and Grant Program pays for equipment, like 75%. If we were able to get a 75% grant and sell the truck for the other 25%, it would be doable. Even if we got 50%, it would be better than us paying for a truck straight out. So if you would be willing to work on finding an alternative measure to finance the truck, we need to do it before the truck is completely kaput. But right now, we're in excess of 17,000 in the last 5 months.
Pardon
So-
me for coming in at the tail end of this, but what else has to be done on it?
So, we had the truck inspected, December of last year, at Koch 33 Ford, and the inspection tech said, I'm gonna pass you this year, but it won't pass next year. It's a 2008, a lot of rust on the suspension, underneath and in the front. So that's what it needs, is it needs work to be able to pass inspection.
Did we get any quotes on that?
We have not yet.
Cal, you looked at the truck, didn't you? What's your assessment?
Well, long story short, I mean, it's an older truck, spent all its life in salt. It's not pretty, it's, you know, it's slowly falling apart, you know, and looking underneath, it's all steel. Eventually we're gonna have to start worrying about brake lines, if they're gonna hold up. They're okay right now, but again, not looking pretty. All the skid plates underneath, I mean, they're falling away in chunks. Frame is still solid, but it's heavily pitted. So it's, you know, and it carries a lot of weight during the winter time and going up and down hills. It's a lot of stress. So it, you know, it's showing its age.
So, I guess one of the bigger issues is when should we be budgeting to replace this? Is it gonna make it through another winter, or?
It's not gonna pass inspection.
Hmm?
It's not gonna pass inspection.
All right, at least at that particular facility.
Right.
So that gives us now, winter is hopefully ending, gives us an opportunity to look for alternative financing measures. If we have to buy a truck, which eventually we're gonna have to buy a truck, but if we can now take this time to look for alternative financing measures to help us, then, because when we get to the budgeting process, if we're talking about a ginormous expense for a truck, that will affect our budgeting, our taxation, so on and so forth. So if we can look for alternative measures in the interim now, 17,000 in, start looking for it now, and if nothing comes up, then we have to go to plan B. But right now, we need to look for alternative measures to finance, supplement the purchase of a new truck.
What's the approximate price of a new truck?
New truck, fully outfitted to replace this one is probably over $100,000. Looking at about 80 for the truck, with no dump body, no plow mount. The dump body, I think, was about 20,000 installed.
I think the truck, new 550 at Koch was about 50, and the dump body was 40.
Okay.
Yeah.
The plow that we spent money on can go on a new truck. So there are ways to, you know, the auction I sent you guys, I sent you because I saw it and I didn't want you guys to miss it. I wanted to give you the opportunity to see what a used truck, you know, sells for, because I would much rather council spend money on a used truck in good shape than a new truck, because you're gonna save $40,000-$50,000 of the borough's money. Yeah, so to answer your question, over $100,000 for a new truck outfitted, 70-ish, 80-ish for something used. I found on Municipal a 2017 with, how many miles were on that? It was low mileage, wasn't it?
Yeah, but very low mileage.
Like 8,000?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
A 2017.
Our truck has low mileage.
Yeah, with 8,000 miles on it out near Williamsport. It was a plow truck, and Callum went out and looked at it, but I found it 2 days before the auction ended. It was about $30,000, I think, was the current bidding, and it ended up going for 70 something. So I brought it to council's attention as an option, but obviously, yeah, we do want to plan for it and try to get a grant if we can.
Would it be prudent to take the truck to a local garage and ask them what their opinion on it is?
We discussed that in December. If
Okay.
Council wants to do that.
I mean, with the end, you know, obviously at some point we need a new truck, but maybe you might tell us it's good for a year.
Dealers tend to
good for
have
a year.
slightly more stringent standards.
Yeah, to take it back to the
Also,
dealer.
there was
Some trucks too.
But Councilmember, if you would, please take up the task of, and if you want someone else, find someone else to work with you on that, to look for alternative measures to supplement the financing of the truck, because whether we buy it straight out, you say $100,000, if we've gotten that bid, $70,000, almost $100,000 for a truck that's 217. Another 30,000, get your new truck. So let's look at other alternatives and then weigh them out and try and figure out what we can do before it's.
Can you help me with that? Zach?
Sure. Because I like you.
Thank you both so
Partial
much.
nod. Okay.
Zach,
Thank
how
you
much
very
was the
much.
plow?
I don't know.
Do you plow?
Yeah.
Just the plow, $9,150.
So you're saying 17,000 includes that 9,000, so it's
That's
really
what the
8,000
borough
that
manager's
had to go
saying.
into the truck, not?
So
Yeah, so 8,000 unrecoupable
Yeah.
that won't
Yeah.
that
Okay.
won't get us any more mileage
All
onto
right.
it.
Thanks.
No, because it's misleading.
Yeah, no, you're right.
It's misleading. 'cause it
It's
sounds
still
like
money
the rough-
spent.
It's still a lot of money, I get it, but.
And the
It is a lot of money.
The plow will be.
Lisa,
Look at
the plow will be
how
needed.
buzzard coming out.
Yeah, the plow would be on.
It's still a lot of money.
Thank you, Mr. Snow, it's still a lot of money.
It's Tim, Mr. Snow is my father.
Let's move along with our, oh, and I want to mention, Councilmember Foster mentioned the Shade Tree Committee. Let's discuss it in the work session. It's not on the
Okay.
agenda, but we can discuss it on the work session. We didn't ignore that.
Do you have a shade tree committee?
We had
We
one.
did, they used to.
There is an
I'm
ordinance.
I'm scheming maybe for a tree planting in
I'll
the
send it
next,
to
either next weekend, not this coming, but the one after that, or the one after
But
that.
have you talked to the National Park Service?
I'm in the process of talking to National Park Service about maybe putting 3 trees over, by the parking lot there. It's not our property. I'm willing to donate the trees if somebody's willing to dig the holes with the backhoe.
And somebody bail y'all out, you don't get permission from the Park Service.
No, I would, yeah,
I
that's in the works.
Yes.
I sent them a picture of the site and I had specifically asked for permission.
Well, you can tell us how it's progressed when we get to the
Yeah.
work session.
Can I have permission from the Borough Council to utilize the borough backhoe to dig some holes?
Talk to the superintendent, he's working. He has
We're
a
capable of
schedule,
doing it if it's, all okay.
All right.
it's fine with us.
It's okay with council?
You get all your permissions, we ain't gonna stand in your way. We had a shade tree committee prior to that, and council members trying to reinstate it, actually.
And the trees look really nice right now, the ones that were
The
put in
ones that were
20 years
planted
ago.
prior.
The
Yeah.
one, yeah, our
Yeah.
trees
They're
are
nice.
gorgeous up and down the town, and we only have 3 weeks and they'll all be in bloom, it's gonna be nice.
So we look forward to the progress on that at the work session, we'll know.
We do have an ordinance, I reviewed it today. I don't think the ordinance works for us. I'm not sure if our council has any.
I just said, I said when it got brought up by us,
I'll
Alice
send it
emailed to
tomorrow.
me. I know that Stroudsburg has one that, like, they're active, so
Yeah.
I can look at that and I can also look at Stroudsburg's.
Yeah, maybe Strasburg and Eastburg.
Yeah, I don't know about Eastburg's, I don't know if they
No,
have one,
Stroudsburg-
if they're active, but I know
Stroudsburg
that
is a tree-
Stroudsburg's is active.
They're a tree city, yeah.
Yeah.
We were a tree city. one point.
Yeah. Why it looks so good, all those trees. Up Main and on Broad, and then they planted all those trees.
So I look forward to working on that, and we'll talk a little bit more about it. I'd like to see that ordinance as soon as possible, because we might want
Yeah,
to
I'll
adopt a
wait.
different ordinance. I don't think this one
To
works.
amend the current ordinance. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go on to committee reports, water, is there
Yeah,
anything to
yeah,
report?
so we're in the process of updating our meter reading program. The file which Rio Supply asked for was sent to them about a week ago. They're gonna run it through their computers or through their program, see if it works, so I'm just waiting for feedback from them. What Cal mentioned, we have hydrant flushing starting next week. I think it's gonna be a 3 or 4 day event. If you guys noticed, last week we had some mud kicked up for a short time period for about 2 hours. There was a, fire department responded to a call on the bridge. They pulled water off of the Oak Street hydrant, kicked stuff up, which is typical, settled down really quick. We got calls from the apartment complex, but it was short-lived. That's what happened there. In terms of water bills, went out on Thursday. We do have some small group of people that don't pay. Second notices are going out this week and to a small group of people, and they will be subject to water shut off if the payments aren't made. And that's all I have.
Thank you so much. Budget committee, the next meeting will be on April 9th at 2 o'clock. This date and time is arranged in accordance with billing and bills coming in the quarter. And so we will do that next week at 2 o'clock. Personnel, nothing. Sanitation, anything? Roads and building, we just heard from roads. Anything else, roads?
Yeah, a little bit more, you'll see in the engineer report, that the borough was provided a cost estimate back in November of '23 to repair the Gulf Station no longer a golf station. The drain box there has collapsed. We were tabling it because the season for that kind of thing was coming to an end. But I would like council to revisit that, maybe in next month's agenda.
What was the estimate on that, any idea?
Oh, I don't recall, I'm sorry,
I
I'd
have
have
a
to
folder
look back.
pretty handy.
And we
Yeah,
couldn't-
next month's
And we
agenda.
couldn't get PennDOT to own that.
No. In the meantime, yeah, maybe Allison can get those, that info sent over to you guys to look at.
Okay, we'll review it.
And also on the engineer report, there are 3 spots on Main Street where the drain boxes are collapsing or in need of repair. 3 areas were discussed with the roads committee. This goes back to April of last year, where we didn't do anything with that stuff, I think, because we were pretty much focused on the big paving project.
Okay.
And that's it. The next roads meeting will be a week from tomorrow at 7 here, if anybody wants to attend.
Thank you so much. Economic development? Nothing. Friends of Delaware Water Gap, what are y'all up to?
Still working on Founder's Day, sending out invitations for crackers and stuff like that.
Is there a yard sale this?
Yes, May 21st, I think it is. That will go out soon too.
Okay, thank you so much for keeping us abreast. Open spaces and trails.
Well, we have, as far as the, Liberty Water Gap Trail, we have been, kind of on hold, especially with the 611 situation, that type of thing. It's not like we're not getting it out there that we wanna do this. If they're doing any long-term engineering, they've gotta include the trail. That's kind of what our push is for economic benefits for both towns, because.
It'd be nice if they'd have done it simultaneously.
Exactly, if they're gonna do a big project, then include in trail, and that's where we're going with that. So we are doing, our first meeting this month, be the middle of the month. Northampton County is really busy with their trails, and so, Sherry, who, sits with our committee, she's been doing a lot of the work like not under the radar, she's right out there, but so things are going on, but it's with this mess, we're just not trying to like punch anybody in the eye, you know?
Yeah.
They have enough on their plate without that, but we have been now reminding the officials that if you're going to do any major engineering, you better, you know, include a trail and get this open for people to bike and walk along 611 safely, because they do it anyway and it's not safe. So that is, that's where we're at. So we are starting to come back again, starting to, now that there seems to be some talk between the two rather than just,
Yeah.
we're
Think
not
they've all been
talking.
jacked up.
Yeah, well, you know what, we have to thank the people who did what many people asked them to do, which was call their federal senators and their federal representatives and get them moving, and they did. Cartwright, Wild, all of them. The Fetterman's office, all of them came together and has been saying, we've got to get this moving. They put out really strong letters, they've been at all the meetings, so, you know, we gotta thank those people that they're out there doing that. And Rosemary's, she might not be federal, but she's the little dog and they're on their tips of their, you know,
Yeah, they've
back
all been doing
legs.
very well at working together.
They have been, and that's really nice to see, that they're all working together on this, and it seems to be starting to come together. So that's good. The other thing I'm doing is next week, I am going with the NPCA, and I'm lobbying on Congress, at the Capitol, for more money for the national parks, all of the national parks, but what's happened in our national parks is they took a 12% cut. And it's been, I mean, they didn't have enough money in the first place, and to take a 12% cut was just terrible. And then they said, well, out of the money that you do get,
Bidenomics.
you are giving everybody a 5% raise, which even the parks people that I've talked to have said, well, getting 5% was really lovely, but to take it away from everything else when we are so depleted and need so much money for maintenance and other things, they said it's just devastating. So, the story out there is hard to hear because, they're changing a lot of where the money's going and how they're doing it, and there's not gonna be a lot of money from the parks, it looks like, so we've gotta go up and put in and try and push them in that direction, that if you're going to have these parks, which we have to have, this belongs to the people, there are parks, that you're going to have to designate money for these parks and, find it somewhere, so that's what I'm doing next week. So
Well, we
wish me
thank
luck.
you for all your hard work.
Wish
Thank
me
you so
luck.
much for
All
advocating
right.
for all of that.
Oh, the other thing I did was I went to a conference with the NPCA this winter, the winter conference. Happened to be in St. Croix. But
Darn
it was,
So you took one for the team.
I took one for the team. But, and I had a +1, my husband, which was really interesting, because I'm always the +1.
You
So
married
anyway, but it was really good to see, because we got to talk to all these local people who are the same as me, the same as I am. They're out there trying to build the open spaces, trying to keep all these mass areas and not to be developed, and it's very expensive property, so it's really tough to do, and it's very hard on the families, for them to tell us their stories, and for us to come back at them and say, yes, you're a territory, and no, you do not get to, although you're a citizen, you don't get to vote for the president, you imagine. So yes, but we get the same problems right in the United States. You are not alone. This is what's happening. We are being ignored for trying to save this property. So it was a really great meeting, and if anybody gets a chance, please go to St. Croix.
Yeah, we will.
I'll be your +1.
You don't
I'll
need
be
a
your
passport.
+1, it's
Okay.
fine.
You don't need a passport.
We should all
We should all just get on the plane.
Right,
No,
yeah.
it was.
I'll put that in the
I learned a
budget.
lot. I learned a lot, I really did, it was very.
Well, thank you again for your voice and continuing your hard work for us. We appreciate you, we really do. Planning Commission, anything? Okay, zoning, COG, was there anything special from COG, sir? Mr. McLeod?
Absolutely, I have gotten no information. I am going to,
They're consistent.
I'm going to call the former secretary,
Michelle?
see if I can get,
Yeah.
Also, it was noted, in the, the fire company assessment that was done by that company, that we no longer have a representative for the LEPC. I used to do that. I used to go to COG too. I don't know why I went to all those meetings, but we don't have a, LEPC representative. That is the, tell me what it is, Howard, I'm looking at you, cause you.
Hazardous materials.
Hazardous material.
That's what it is.
It's a community forum for how to manage hazardous spills in liquids and materials that fall over on the highway and spill into communities, and you have to evacuate and things like that. So we need to get emergency management, we need to get someone to go to the LEPC meetings. I forget what, local
I'm looking here.
emergency.
Local Emergency Planning Committee.
There you go, see, I was halfway there.
Google.
I helped you out, I helped you get that loose.
We, as a fire department, we get papers from them all the time from Vertelis, and we deal with the paper mill as well. And it used to be from Laird, and they send us all their chemicals and stuff in a packet. So we do have that at the firehouse.
You have that, but we need to get them a contact so that
Yeah.
if there's a hazardous spill and they are managing evacuation or
I'll talk to Mary Ellen.
mitigating the
Oh, yes.
hazard, that, a contact to
Absolutely.
make sure that we don't die from it.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
Sorry, I switched those around. Public comments is next.
I'm going with
Executive
public
session is
comments.
after.
Public comments for items that are not on our agenda. Yes, ma'am.
I wanna know from Howard how the egg hunt went.
I can tell you how the egg hunt
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Yes.
Oh.
It was amazing. We had over 60 kids.
Wow.
The church loved that we joined it, and it was amazing, so we're gonna keep continuing to do that. Everybody had a really good time. We had so many compliments. The church people loved that we were there to help them. And we also went to a potluck dinner the Tuesday before.
Yeah.
So all of our firefighters, there was about 15 of us, and our families all went, and we dyed eggs and got to meet all the church members. It was really nice. We had a really nice turnout.
It went very well, and it will be continued for years to come.
So all y'all going to church on Sunday?
We've actually talked about it. The whole fire company, I don't know about, I can't speak for everybody,
Doing some
but
luncheons with them.
Yeah.
They want to do
They do want us
luncheons.
to come for a Sunday mass and speak and try to get some new recruits.
Very good, bless your hearts. All right, any other public comments not associated with the agenda? Yes, Miss Timmy. Yeah.
So, at the Smithfield Township meeting last week, they had on the agenda a municipal joint session for fire and EMS tax. Was anybody from Water Gap at that?
No, they, is that the one where they're trying to?
East Stroudsburg,
Do-
Middle Smithfield and Smithfield instituted a tax. And so they had a meeting regarding their resolution, and it was like a work session meeting with folks
Yes.
who were going to be involved.
They're trying to do what we've already done.
There were several towns or townships.
It was Price,
yes, Price.
Smithfield, and Middle.
Smithfield.
Water Gap's not doing this, right?
We already
We
have a
already have
fire
it.
tax.
Exactly,
We
okay.
already have
They
So-
didn't,
Okay.
none of, Middle Smithfield and Smithfield didn't have one, that's
No.
why that whole,
I don't think Price did.
I don't think Price did either, and so it was
Alright.
just, it
That's
was
a-
the cable
Good
tax
enough.
and some other things
No,
going
we-
to them, so
That's-
We are,
If you can remember a while back, I said I got us to join the, we were part of the Council of Boroughs, but we also joined the Council of Townships around us. So we are contacted with things that they're working on too, to join in it. However, we already have a fire tax, so
Okay,
it wasn't
I just-
our,
I
it
didn't
wasn't,
want two taxes.
no,
No.
it
they
wasn't,
didn't have a tax.
they didn't have one at all.
I thought Smithfield had it.
No,
No.
that's
They
not
just
how they
budget money
funded their
for
fire
it.
companies.
So now they're trying to do, so they did ask us questions about our
Yes.
fire
Alright.
tax.
yeah.
But we're not in the conversation to institute one, cause we already have one. So that's why we weren't in on that. I talked to them up to the point where I said, we won't be meeting with those,
Well, I just
those
didn't
actions.
want them to think that we were gonna be in there but not be represented, that's all.
No, we were represented on the emails
Well,
where it
and
was
nobody can institute a tax, well, we can only institute our own taxes, so.
A lot of
No
this
one
has
can do
come
that
from
for
that
you.
JLN study,
Okay.
and that's why those
Yeah, we-
townships are implementing their own fire tax.
we were included on the study,
Yes.
and we have the study, but we already had done the things that were recommended
Okay.
out of the
Good.
study.
Good.
So, except for LAPC representation, and
Would-
maybe one or two other things. So, any other public comments before we go into executive session? Yes, sir, Mr. Bartholomew. Yes,
Did you get that right?
yes, I did.
Okay. I did offer to pay for like a second opinion inspection on the dump truck, right?
Oh, okay.
You're
If
gonna pay
that's what you were interested in, maybe.
Yeah, I think that'd be great.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Can I just say something about the dump truck deal?
Sure.
I've been a certified inspection mechanic for 35 years. If Koch failed it and you take it somewhere else and it gets passed and it comes out Koch failed it, something happens to that on the road, there won't be enough zeros in the lawsuit for you guys to bail yourselves out of.
They didn't fail it.
They didn't fail
They said it was a one more year.
Yeah.
You're looking for somebody to go further than that though.
No, we're looking to find alternatives to replace it, alternative financing.
Yeah, what does it need to pass? Is
What does
we
it
want.
need to pass?
Bottom line from rotted frames, everything else. That's, okay.
Yeah,
that's
well, we
fine.
wanna know what it would take to
Because
pass.
a lot of people would wanna go find somewhere so lick and stick a sticker and then you're just.
No,
Yeah.
that's not what we're doing.
Okay.
I'm offering to send them to Jake Clay if that's okay.
Oh, no, I don't know personally what, I'm just saying, I've known the inspection laws for years.
No, we're not fudging with the inspection laws. When I spoke of alternative, I spoke of alternative financing, finding another way to supplement what is inevitable,
Okay, I apologize.
that we will have to replace the truck at some point.
That's different.
But if the truck is rusted, but structurally sound, the body, they could just do work on the bottom and plate the bottom.
These are the things that,
That's-
why I asked
yeah.
for a committee
We did
to
that 5 years
explore
ago.
alternatives. Give us all the options. So a committee working together will give us all the options of everything that it needs, what can be done for it to continue to run, and if that's becomes another $17,000 or $20,000, alternative financing through grant acquisition to help supplement it. Hopefully before we go through another budgetary process where we can determine exactly what our options are, and it's not an emergency to write a check and still have a failing truck. So we're trying to explore every option.
And we did get about 4 or 5 years out of the repair that was done to it, because when I was on council, I thought it was absolutely absurd to try to get rid of that truck if it could be fixed, because the previous council had sunk 20,000 into that engine. So I didn't think we should just throw the truck away at that point. So it might be time now, but still, I mean, we still didn't get our money's worth out of the engine.
Well, what we're trying to do is to make sure that we have every viable option
I get it.
on, including getting a supplement. Because inevitably, you gotta pay up to get another truck. But $100,000, if we can get any kind of supplemental financing to help us pay for that, then it won't all come out of our pockets, which it will come out of our pockets. So, thank you all for your recommendations and your input. And with that said, if
No, I
there's,
got one question for Deb. What's the status on the yurt?
That-
Anything new?
No.
Okay.
Marty?
Just wanted to make a point, simply because, what
Yeah, exactly.
Howard had to say was not necessarily on the agenda. So I thought he made it clear that I didn't think there was any kind of, anything inappropriate between, him and his connection with, Purino or, Joe. I thought it was more of a professional connection actually because they knew each other. So if you wanna take it defensive, that wasn't the intention. The other thing is, and another thing, just so the fire company knows, that I made sure, I didn't think, it would be wise to take, turn the money back. I think, to work through it somehow and work with the money you have. So, anybody thinks that I'm suggesting that, that's not the case.
That's been the plan the whole time. We know we're not gonna get everything we want.
And,
It's
I wasn't
not
aware.
need, but, not everything we want, but what we need.
We
And
appreciate-
I wasn't aware, your name was on that until you mentioned it, on that estimate.
So it was, I sent it out.
Well, either way,
so-
I wasn't aware of that, so I wasn't making any connection with that either.
Well, everything out there, I'm not hiding anything, it's
And,
what we had to do.
I have one more thing though. Oh, I was curious, because I did read the resolution, and right, the first paragraph, states, the borough authorized Jim Ferrari to have some type of power. I'm curious, how that works. What type of power was he ceded? Because he's whatever, president or something of the fire department.
He's a treasurer.
How that works. Maybe you don't have an answer.
I don't know the exact language of that resolution right now, but I can look at it.
Because I thought maybe that was important. I think it was just more in relation to getting the grant,
I think
as
it would,
opposed to administering.
yeah, normally it's who has the power to sign,
He's our treasurer.
so it may have had something to do with that, but I'll
As
relook
the
at it.
treasurer, we'll have to read it again, but as far as we've talked a lot, I've talked a lot, about how we got to this point with that grant. But the bottom line is, the grant is run by the state, and we have to go by the regulations and the guidelines to administering that grant according to the state, or they will not reimburse the money. I mean, regardless of who is an expert, regardless of who has connections, regardless of who wants to give an estimate, we have to go by the LSA guidelines. And the first thing we need right now is the finances in order to get the engineering bidding done. And until we get that, we continue to table it because we can't move forward.
Well, I just wanna make it clear that there was, a clause in there about the conflict of interest between the board itself and a board member of the entity that was getting, having the work done.
Well, the work has to be done according to the engineering bids and the contractor's bidding in accordance to the LSA grant administers guidelines. So it doesn't matter how many contractors we have in this room right now, we have to go along with the LSA guidelines because the borough has to follow those rules because we are not gonna be responsible for any mismanagement.
We're not asking you for any money though, at all.
I did not state that, I said we are going by the LSA, excuse me, we're going by the LSA guidelines, this is the borough, this is a municipal meeting, and that is what we're going to do. I have no personal statement in that, not you, or you. We are tasked with administering as a municipality, and we will go by the state guidelines. That's all I have to say about that.
All I got to say is that's never been a question.
No, that's all we got to say about that.
I feel I have the
Public
right to
comment.
speak.
You have spoken, Howard, I allow you to stand and speak.
And nobody's ever questioned that.
was president?
Excuse me. We're in the public comment. Your question has been answered. You have been allowed the floor to speak and make your statement. We are now going to end the meeting. If I get a motion to end, we will go into executive.
Related to that,
Not end the meeting, but go into executive session.
I just have one more thing to add.
Okay, sir.
Just from reviewing and reading these LSA grant applications, I just say God bless anybody that tries to fill one out because
They're
they're just like a
extensive.
minefield of craziness.
They are extensive. Thank you for your comments. Now, do I have a motion to go into executive session?
Motion.
All right, second?
Okay.
All right, now we'll go into executive session in which we will discuss easements.